this is our friend Scrappy Mania, and today I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to take this sheet of 12 by 12, and I purchased this some time ago, and this sheet is from American Craft called Letterbox. It was printed in 2009. I got a whole stack for $1.99 at Tuesday morning some time ago, and now what I want to do is I want to convert these into cards. So I've been watching on Pinterest, and they have some page wonders, and what a page wonder is, as far as I can tell, is like you take either a regular letter size paper or 12 by 12, and then you cut it according to the dimensions and you make cards. So I'm going to go ahead and create cards with this, and this is the only paper I'm going to use with some embellishments. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut everything 4 by 4. Let me move this aside. So let's go ahead and cut everything 4 by 4. Okay, so everything is 4 by 4. Then the first sheet, this one I'm going to cut it 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to take this sheet and I'm going to cut it 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. Actually, we need to cut this 5 1/4. And I have this strip. And then we're going to cut this 1 1/2. And we're going to cut 2 strips. 1, 2. And then this strip, we're going to cut it 1 1/2. 1, 2. And this little strip is 2 1/4 by 1 1/4. So that's this page. Now here we're going to go ahead and cut this 4 inches. And then I'm going to cut this in half to 2 inches. And then I'm going to cut this to 2 by 2s. Okay. The next one, we're going to take this one, we're going to cut it 1 1/2. So actually we need to cut this 3 inches. Because we're going to cut 2 strips 1 1/2. And I'll put the link of the Pinterest link for this card wonder in case you want to look at it. And then this one, we're going to leave it 4 by 5. So I'm going to leave that 4 by 5. I'm not going to cut it. This one, we're going to cut 1 1/2. Oops, and I didn't cut that one very well, did I? Let me recut it. Never mind. This one we're going to cut 2 5/8. By 4 inches. And we're going to cut another one 2 5/8 by 4 inches. And this one, we're going to cut it at an angle. So from corner to corner, that point to this point. Okay, go ahead. Whoops. Make sure we got it right where it belongs. And cut triangle. And that is pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and narrate the rest of this because it was over an hour video. So what I did is I took every single panel and I went ahead and cut some more paper. I took another 12 sheet paper and cut it 4 by 5 and a quarter. So that way, that would be my layer. And I started just composing the different layers right on here without putting it on the card base. So I'm going to take this whole layer that you see there, which is 4 inches by 5 and a quarter. And I'm going to put that on some card bases that I've purchased from Michael's. You know, the ones that you get, they're usually put them in the holidays for $5. You get like 60. Some of them you get 80 card bases plus envelopes. And I really love those. So I also decided that there was something that these cards needed. This pink was okay, but it needed something else, some oomph. So I decided to pull my embossing folders, which really gave it a nice look. And then I sand off the tops of the emboss, so that way you reveal the white layer underneath. And that really made it. I really love how that looked versus how it was looking before, which was just a plain pink cardstock with my these layers or these strips of paper. I decided to create a banner. Now, I have a lot of stuff that I've cut, like swirls. I've made sentiments. I have a box where I've pre-cut a lot of these embellishments, so that way when I do have guests over and we want to make cards, they can just create the card and not have to worry about stamping sentiments or creating flowers or anything like that. So I do have a big box that has this, and I've been pulling from that to create my cards. I also went ahead and grabbed, you know, I'm cheating a little bit because I went ahead and grabbed my punch, my border punch. And this is one of those punch out, and it's the scallop edge punch. And I wanted to edge each of those panels with this edge punch to just give it a little bit of interest and color. And then this thank you, I went ahead and stamped that on vellum. And after I stamped it on vellum, I took some embossing powder and raised it with the embossing powder. And the tape that I'm using is a special tape that I bought a long time ago at QVC, that when you put it behind vellum, you do not see the tape. And it works very well for here. Then I had some punch out hearts that I had left over from Valentine's when I made my little Valentine treats, and that's what I placed on that card. This other card, I went ahead and started looking for more embossing folder, and this new embossing folder by We Are Memory Keepers, it's one that I saw on YouTube, and I really love how it worked. And so I decided I have it, and I had never used it. I haven't used it yet. So I decided to use it on this card. And you'll see in a moment how beautiful this embossing folder is. And I'll put all the materials that I've used on the link below. But definitely I do like that embossing folder. And look how pretty that looks. Then I went ahead and put another layer with another sentiment. And I'm going to go ahead and matte that sentiment with pink cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and use some black ink to ink the edges, and some foam adhesive to put my sentiment. And then look how pretty that looks. Once you put that sentiment and then you just put a couple of leaves and flowers, it just makes that card just pop. I love it. It looks very, very nice. So the next card you see here is with 2 strips and then 1 strip in the middle. And there's not really much on Pinterest. I'll put the link of the Pinterest that inspired me, the pin that inspired this, but it was mainly just what I had there was just the dimensions for cutting the different layers, but not really an image of what to do with those different layers. So this is where you use your imagination, especially if you have things pre-cut like I do in a box. I can just pull from that box and just audition it and see how it looks. Plus the flowers. Flowers are always something good to have ahead of time. But and if you buy those layer flowers and you have a scan and cut, it's perfect because you can take one afternoon, stamp a bunch of those flowers, take your scan and cut, have it cut it out for you so that way you don't have to cut it. And And then just keep it in a little bag like I have there and pull them out when you do need them. So this next one, I'm liking more and more of these embossing folders, so that's why I'm kind of going back and just cheating and embossing most of the plain layers with my embossing folder. And I think I did cheat a little bit about the one card wonder because I used another piece of 12 by 12 to create additional layers on my card. And I like that. I mean, I'm using up the stuff that I have. Especially, I love how it sands. This paper really sands, and it's good paper because when I do run it through that 3D embossing folders or the We Are Memory, I don't know if We Are Memory are at 3D, but they look pretty thick. So and they do a very nice impression. So I'm thinking that they're really deep embossed, and you need good quality cardstock so it won't crack. So when I use my We Are Memory Keeper embossing folders, it's embossing well without cracking the cardstock. I would not dare to do this with die cut wood view because I guess depends on the one that you buy, it does crack. So here I'm using that next triangle, I'm putting it opposite as you can see there, and I'm looking for sentiments that I want to place on this page, and I decided that a circle sentiment on a square background looks pretty nice. So I'm just looking to see what else do I want to do. And I found, of course I make a lot of layers. I do have a video in what I've done about creating layers for cards and then store it in a box. And I'll put the link of that. But it's basically just take the supplies you have, take cardstock that you have, stamp a bunch of flowers, cut a bunch of swirls if you have those different dies. Use glitter paper and cut dies, die cuts or swirls and frames, and especially if you have the Anna Griffin dies that she sells on HSN, those are very lovely. So I just cut all that ahead of time and just have it. And that way when you need a card, you can easily just pull it and make one pretty quickly. And then this is a bowl maker that I made some time ago before I bought my larger bowl maker. And I still use this one because it's nice and compact for my little area. And if you're like me, when you start crafting, even though you may have a big old table, your area starts shrinking down. So I love this bowl maker for making little bows. And I'll put the link of where I show you how I create these. I created a bunch of different sizes using just simple cardboard and chopsticks. So now I'm down to my next layer or card that I'm making, and I'm using this folder which has banners, and I've been sanding everything because I love how it looks with that white surface that comes up when you sand it down, and I have white cord cardstock, so it works very well, and it just looks nice. And then here I decided to just put some flowers on those squares. I'm using a leaf, and these are Heartfelt Creation leaves. The flowers are my ink layers from Prima, and the sentiments are my sentiments from Anna Griffin that I bought from HSN, and the butterfly is just a regular punch that I think I purchased on Tuesday morning. So here's another layer, again pulling out my embossing folder. It's just once I started with the embossing folders, every single layer from there on just had to have some different emboss areas, and that one's one of my favorite. It's really I just love how it looks. It has that grid look to it. And the squares, I just put 2 squares. I'm inking them, placing them down. Now, one thing when you do use embossing folders is because of the texture, you use a nice, I like to use nice heavy glue, like liquid glue, to make sure that it really adheres down. Sometimes if you use stick glue, it won't, I don't feel like I'll get the adhesion that I want. So I decided to use just regular liquid glue. And the ruler that you just saw me use is actually the Perfect Layer ruler. I bought it some time ago from HSN, and I go I use that a lot when I want to have that perfect layer on a cardstock. So now I'm ready. I have all my card fronts done. I'm ready to place them on my card bases. These are the card bases from Michaels that I usually buy a bunch of them when they put them at $5. And that's what I'm using. I'm just coordinating each of these layers with a card base that will go very nicely. So I'm using lime green, I'm using pink. I'm taking the clue from the colors that are on the cardstock, and also purple. Even though I don't have purple on those layers, when I use it with that purple flower, it just made it pop. And see how pretty these are looking? I mean, you can get a lot out within an afternoon doing this method. This is a perfect project to invite your friends over, get a 4x4 card, 12x12 card, cut it into layers, give it to them, and have them just play around and create cards, and they can go home with a nice little stack of cards. Plus, you can get rid of some of your card stack that may be there for a while, and that's a perfect use for these. So there you have 7 cards out of 2 sheets of 12x12, and then just a little bit to spare, which I could have incorporated somewhere, but I just didn't want to overwhelm my cards. But I hope you liked this video, and if you want to see some more of doing the same type of thing, just taking some cardstock and papers and creating a bunch of cards with that 1 or 2 sheets of paper, let me know and I will do more videos of those. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. That will help me with my channel, so that way YouTube know that I do have an audience and will put me on top of the list so you can find me a lot easier. And please subscribe if you have not done so. I do have a lot of different subjects on my YouTube channel, from cooking to sewing to crafting to mixed media to cards and scrapbooks. So I hope you liked this video, and thank you for watching. Bye now. And I almost forgot. Don't forget to put your handmade stamp in the back. This is the one I have. I think I need to get a nice one. My sister had one made. They actually, her daughter bought her one, and it has her name, and it's very pretty. So I might get one of those, but right now I'm using these, and it just says handmade. And then I do have some from Stampin' Up! That says heart, stamp art from the heart. Stamp art from the heart. Which, it's not really stamped. Let's see what else I have. From the kitchen. No, this is not a kitchen. Designed by. So that's a nice one too. So let's use that one. Designed by, and then I can go ahead, come in here and put Elvira. I like that design by, because it was designed by me. So I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching. Bye now.